Episode 13 of Orlando Out of Context. I'm Brian.
And I'm Stephanie.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context and visit us at orlandooutofcontext.com. And then make sure to listen and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. And so we have a special guest. Welcome, Lizette.
We have a guest today.
Hey.
And we will get in and get started with our guest here momentarily, but make sure you stay till the end because we're going to announce our Key Australia Sunglass winner at the end of this episode. So stay tuned. The winner has been selected and Stephanie will let everyone know.
So listen.
So listen all the way through. So welcome, Lizette.
Hello.
And how do you pronounce your last name?
Samaniego.
Samaniego.
Yeah, it looks more complicated than what it is.
Samaniego. So I'm going to have to... Samaniego. I have to say it a few times. And then
a lot of people get like crazy about it. Like, what is it? No, I'm like, no.
There's no
Samaniego.
Like this, like
pretty
fish,
simple.
Salmon. Diego.
Exactly.
Like Salmon and Diego.
Yeah, there you go.
Had a baby.
Yes.
So welcome, Stephanie. I think
we were trying to decide today how I ran into her on Instagram. I think she followed us, and then I reached out to her because on her profile it says that she's a writer and she's spiritually gifted and she's a relationship coach. And I'm very drawn to those things. Like, I'm very interested in people that are spiritually gifted and people that are open to all things in life, like tarot cards and crystals and like being positive and just feeling vibes and all that kind of stuff. So I reached out to her and I was like, do you want to, talk with us? And she was like, sure. So here we are. This is like the first time we're meeting her. We're just, I want to talk and listen to what she has to say about her path in life.
So we talked about it. We went on a little adventure this morning and in the car ride back to come and record. I said, let's go through the different items that she has that describes her on her Instagram profile. And you kind of talk about that and give us a little bit more enlightenment on what each of those pieces of you mean to you. And so Stephanie, you said the number one thing on her profile is that she is a writer. So what kind of writing do you do? I think at least you have a blog for sure, right? Yes. You have a website.
Yes. And I've written a couple articles for different websites, and I do a lot of kind of behind the scenes writing for people. But I'm literally I never went to school for anything that I do. Okay. Everything has kind of just downloaded to me, and that's how my writing comes out. Okay. Like everything on my blog is stuff that suddenly I sit down and it just all comes together, and it happens to resonate a lot with people during the day. Like the same thing happens with my post. Like I'll post something and it'll just be random to me, and I'll have 5 DMs like, oh my God, it's like, what's happening. It's like I hit it on the spot with everybody, and I don't really do it on purpose.
Sure.
I just
Sometimes you read things and it really speaks to you.
Exactly.
Like it really speaks to something that's going on or a feeling that you're internalizing that you haven't even verbalized to anybody in your life.
Exactly. Which is kind of like where my relationship coaching and the whole gift comes into play, because I kind of started learning all about it, like trying to figure out, okay, because I had this gift ever since I was a kid, but I always avoided it. Obviously, you're a kid, you don't want to deal with anything. And when I got up to maybe like my 18, 19 years old, I started kind of exploring a little bit more about it, and I got curious about it.
Sure.
And then I still was like, whatever, next time. And then I kept ignoring. And then when I was like 22, I had this huge life crisis. And I was like going through legal issues and a whole bunch of like stressful, very like dragging situations. And I was literally pushed into like meditating, where it kind of just clicked for me. Right. After I started meditating, I was able to literally shut off my head.
Like face yourself.
Exactly. And listen to what they were really trying to tell me for years. So then after that, I kind of just started listening, and I'm a very good listener now.
So tell me, not to unveil your whole life story, but I kind of want to take let's take it in chunks. So you talked about as you were a kid, you kind of had these signs. Now probably that you look back, now you know more what they were. So tell us, what kind of signs did you have that pointed in the direction, when you look back now, that pointed in the direction that, yes, I have gifts?
Well, I would hear voices.
Okay.
I would hear voices, and I would talk to something. I don't know what it was, but it was always something I spoke to ever since I was a kid.
Okay.
I always, like, every time I was alone, I would hear people or, like, things, and then I would reply, and I had full conversations as a kid, but I always remember not doing it. Like, as soon as somebody came into the room, I'd be like, nothing. And it was always like that throughout my entire life. Like, even when I was, like, when I first started meditating, it was always like that. Like, I always spoke and heard, but then as soon as somebody else came in, I was like, oh, no, okay, stop.
Right.
Like, I always thought I was talking to myself, of course. Like,
right.
Like, I'm just a very good person that has very good, response to herself.
Sure.
But with time, I started picking up on the fact that the knowledge that I was getting back wasn't something I knew, like, for my age and stuff like that.
So then diving even further, now jumping kind of ahead, so those voices are coming from individuals who are past?
Anything. It can be an archangel, it could be an angel, it could be a spirit.
Okay.
It could be they're called, like, Arcturians, but they're like aliens type of thing.
Okay.
Like, if in the human mind, it would be called
the
alien.
human mind.
It would be an alien, a common thing like that. So there's a lot of different, like, varieties of aliens.
Okay.
So you get knowledge, a lot of the knowledge, and I also speak to, like, gods.
Okay.
It's very weird, but
okay.
And that's kind of why I don't relate to any religion. Like, I relate to all of them, actually.
Okay.
Like, I can easily sit in and completely understand their point of view and kind of see where they're coming from and what they believe in. But at the end of the day, it's not like I'm going to join them.
Right.
It's kind of like I'm just open enough to understand all of them. And I think it's mostly because I've kind of come from that path where I know the actual ones that meant for this to happen. And so then it's kind of different for me. So
in your daily spiritual journey, do you take from different religions then? Like, do you take practices from different religions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no, like, my entire family is super religious. Ever since I was a kid, everybody's been super religious, church, Sunday, the whole deal. I was never...
And I'm guessing Catholic?
Yep.
Because
super Spanish.
She revealed to us that she's from Panama, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Catholic.
Yes. So super Spanish, like, full-blown, all this is, like, witch stuff. Like,
right.
As soon as I started kind of, like, revealing a little bit more of myself to my family, they were like, what?
So do they accept you for who you are, or do they think that it's a negative energy and they don't want to be around you because of it?
Oh, no. Like, at the beginning, everybody was like, yeah, whatever. Because I'm also, like, a huge jokester, and I've been the jokester in the family my entire life. So then every time I spoke, they were like, oh, whatever, Lizzie's bullshitting. Can I cuss, by the way?
You can cuss.
We say whatever the fuck we want.
Okay, just making
That's
sure.
That's the rule number one.
So everybody's like, yeah, Lizzie's just bullshitting. Like,
right.
It's just sarcasm all the way. And I would be like, no, seriously. And it was such a hard time to transition from everybody thinking I was joking. And still happens with some friends that I haven't talked to in, like, years. So, yeah, it's throughout time, it was tough at the beginning for them to accept it. But now everybody seeks guidance.
Of course.
Exactly. And they did it back then, too. Like, before, they would ask for it, but then they would be like, oh, yeah, and not believe it, like, half-ass it. And then later on, now everybody's full-blown because now everybody sees, like...
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the bullet points was a light worker. And then, like, I think your most recent post, like, showed a little bit more about this. And what does that mean to you, a light worker?
A light worker to me is, and it'll mean different things to different people depending on how your gifts come in and all that. But to me, being a light worker is you just work with light beings. So that means I don't speak to dead spirits from, like, that've been here and are here just because they haven't, like, finished their path.
Which would be more of a medium. I think,
exactly, because they'll, like, call them in and, like, speak to. Yeah, I don't do that. Like, I don't like that at all.
So, do they try to contact you, and
Yes.
you have to push them out?
Yes.
You have to push them away.
So it's like a constant, I have to set my boundaries. I have to make sure, like, my spiritual team knows I don't want any contact with these type of beings. And it generally doesn't happen to me. I don't think I'm, like, set to be, even though I have the gift, I don't think I'm set just to be a medium. Just like I'm not set just to read cards. Like, to me, it's, like, way broader. But yeah, I'll have, like, a spirit come to me. Not too long ago, I had one who was, like, very, like, I always get, like, heebie-jeebies when I see them or, like, hear them, just because it's, like, unknown it's like an unknown energy compared to every other energy I feel daily.
Right.
So as soon as I feel it, I'm, like, aware of it.
You recognize it, right?
Exactly. And then they'll start talking to me or trying to talk to me, and then I'll just set boundaries, like, no, if you want me to talk to somebody, you bring the person to me. I don't talk to you. You bring the person, and then I'll listen. And that's how I deal with it. But I don't I don't invoke them or anything like that.
So the thought that comes to my mind is, like, I'm guessing you have, like, a job.
Yeah.
Like, because you have to make money, right? Because is this a full-time? Do you
half and half?
You
it's
half
like
and
a
half.
part-time, yeah.
So it's a part-time.
Turning into a full-time.
But, like,
yeah.
the kind of, like, if you're, like, just driving along or you're in the middle of work and you have this thing that you have to deal with, like, do you have to, like, drop things and, like, deal with it?
What's interesting is, like, I'm also a project manager.
Okay.
For a building company.
Okay.
Or house, custom home builder. Anyways, so during the day, I have a lot of flexibility in my job.
Okay.
That I'm not always speaking to somebody. Like, I'm not always kind of in the middle of something. And I'm always kind of driving around, going to job sites and that type of stuff. And that's sometimes where it'll come in.
Okay.
But it's when you kind of have balance within your energies and all that, it kind of doesn't just pop in like that. It does if you go to a freaking, like, ghost tour. Oh my God, don't do that. Like, because you get them all, like, they're all chatty Cathy's. They all want to talk to you. They all want to know the scoop. They want to tell you, bring me this, do that, da da da. And if you're not, like, if your gift isn't, like, well shaped or, like, you're not balanced, it can influence your life in a very bad way.
Okay.
Just because it's like being naive and going into the wolf's cave.
I'm just so interested in all of this. Like, for a long time, I don't know, I've had a lot of readings. I've had a lot of tarot card readings, a lot of sessions with mediums, people who say they're spiritually gifted, and each one of them being different. You know, like you say, they're each bringing different things to the table when I sit down with them. And I'm obsessed with it. I don't know why. It's always been something that interests me. Just I'm trying to understand what the other person is going through. Like, the person with the gifts. Like, what it is that they get. Like, what it is that you're experiencing, or...
Well, you
like,
start getting an interest for it. Which, to me, like, when I didn't want to listen, I got an interest for cards. And then I would just buy cards. And I didn't know really what I was doing. I was, like, 17. I was just playing cards, literally. But then with time, I figured out, like, within months, I could pull one card out and know what was it about. And it wasn't, like, on a book or or written on a card.
I brought these cards here that my mom gave me. These cards. It's a deck of Halloween tarot cards, because I love Halloween. And, you know, I'm just, like, interested in it. But then I look through the cards and they just don't mean anything to me. And then...
But you said it came with, like, you said it came with an instruction book.
Yeah. Is like a college textbook. Like... And I'm just thinking, like, how could I ever learn about all this?
So this is kind of, let me kind of spin this, since Stephanie brought it up. So when we're talking about, like, cards and somebody who is not as gifted, say their level of being gifted is not
like, you just have
an
an
interest as yours.
Yeah.
You just have an interest. What value do the cards have to them if they're, let's say, reading the cards just themselves and following along in a textbook?
That's a great question, because to me, cards are just like a tool. They're not necessarily your gift. They're not necessarily, like, it's not where it's at. Like, the information comes to you. So once you see the card, it's like whatever comes to mind, and that is where I was gonna go next. Where that's why you probably don't get anything because from what I gather, you're not as open with your feelings with yourself. So in order to accept your gift and in order to see something, you have to be completely honest with yourself. And when you're not 100% there, then yeah, of course, you're going to look at something and you'll be like, doesn't mean anything. Bye. So, and that happens a lot.
Well, by doesn't mean anything, I mean that I look at these cards and it just looks like a different language to me. Like each card has a different word, and some of them have numbers, and some of them have symbols. And of course, I don't know what any of it means because it's the first deck of tarot cards I've ever picked up in my whole life. So, of course, if I took the time to read it and understand it, just like if I took the time to learn a new language, I would understand it.
Yeah.
But we don't all have gifts, you know.
But
I don't by any means think that I do.
No, but we all do have an intuition.
Yeah.
And we all have that. Like, we can all develop our intuition. And you don't have to be, like, the best, tarot reader to know how you feel about something. That's kind of something you have. Yeah. And when it comes to cards, you by just looking at it and telling me that you're just looking at cards and, like, the symbol and you don't know what it means, you're kind of already being closed-minded about it. Because it's not about the meaning that the card says, it's what you're feeling, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're kind of already putting it in a little box saying, no, I can't, not this, because, I don't know the language. But what if you do? You don't know.
Yeah.
So
one of our favorite actresses, well, she's not really an actress, Holly Madison, she used to be a Playboy model.
She's a reality, ex-reality TV. Yeah.
She always, she's into this stuff. She's into, Halloween. She's into, Disney and Universal and, really kiddie stuff. Even though she's got kids, her soul is really childish. And she always, I see on her Instagram doing stories, she'll just, flip a card over and there'll be, a little candle and, and she just will flip the card and just leave it. She won't say anything or... Yeah. So, I just wonder, what she's doing with her cards. Because she doesn't claim to be gifted either.
Well, it speaks to everybody differently. Yeah. So, if I've done readings sometimes on my IG where I'll post, 3 cards.
Yeah, and I see posts of yours, that's why I brought the cards, where you'll just hold cards up and then take a photo of the cards that you've pulled.
Exactly. And then in the description, I'll kind of be more open about the message. Yeah. And if you can tell, if you read the message, it has, if you look at the cards, you're like, how did she get that?
Yeah.
Because it's, it's the message that comes through, not necessarily the image and it'll be different parts of the image that will come to me. I brought my cards too, but I always carry them. Yeah, if you want, I can read you later.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be good to, if you don't mind, to catch on.
No, not at all.
We can rearrange the mics a little bit if you need more space, and we can kind of do that. So, but I want to go through the rest of her description.
Let me not get too deep into my personal agenda. And let's talk about your relationship coaching.
Yes.
So a lot of your blog posts were about that, and then I saw a place where you could request to have an appointment made with you. How does that interact with your gifts, or is it a personal choice? Is that
I kind of started, like I said, I started kind of discovering my gifts. So then as I started discovering, at the beginning I thought, I can just read cards, great. I can just do readings. And then I was like, well, but this seems pretty bland. After I did a reading, although it was very, I get so pumped after I get readings. After I give readings, after I give a session, I'm so excited for life. And the person might be crying their eyes out. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to live. You're going to be so happy. And the person is like, really? Because it feels pretty shitty right now. Don't worry about it. I got it. But, yeah, so I started reading. And then as it came, I noticed more and more I would attract the same type of person. It was always women. It was always women going through a very traumatic stage in their relationships.
That's when they want to know stuff. That's when they,
but
want you to tell them you're gonna get married or you're gonna meet your Prince Charming.
But they were all coming out of abusive relationships, and they were all ages. They were all coming from abusive relationships or trying to get out of an abusive relationship. And I was in an abusive relationship, so I started kind of picking up on the whole thing. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So now there was this huge wave of women just coming out of abusive relationships. Then came in a wave of women who just don't know how to relate. And then a wave of couples that don't really know like why they're not working, even though they love each other. And so that's how the relationship coaching came to be, because with my gift, I came to see that the purpose of my gift was really just to see how are you going to find love, how to relate, and everything that I get, like all the information I get, all the, like the stuff I write, it's always on love. Like,
so it works
explaining, explaining what love is, explaining how we should relate, explaining why you don't get to where you need to be, all that type of stuff. So it's just relationship overall. And it sometimes I even help moms and kids. Like, it's not specifically like partners. It's always all types of relationships. So that's how that came to be. And that seems to be like the strong chunk of my gift.
So do you have clients that you work with over time, like weekly, monthly, or is it just kind of a situation by situation?
Situation by situation, but most of them are all like, nobody's shorter than 3 months with me, at least to start trying to figure things out for themselves.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I work with individuals and I work with couples.
So individuals who are in a relationship and they, want to better themselves in that relationship. Do you ever work with people like that, or do you choose to work with both parties present?
Well, I don't really choose anybody I work with.
Okay.
They kind of, I have, like, if they're coming to my doors for something, so there's always something there. But most of them are all either couples, and then I treat them individually, and then themselves, like in a couple session. Or I'll have single women or men who are having just either they've just over the patterns that they had in the past, and they're trying to figure out why they don't find, love or a relationship, or why isn't it working for me, or just life in general. It's a very common thing these days, as you can see in the news. Everybody's kind of lost. Everybody gets very overwhelmed easily, and so our emotions aren't something we were kind of taught to figure out how to deal with. So that's why we're all on something. We're always either super mad or super angry or stressed, or there's always all these negative emotions going and rising up because we don't know how to deal with them.
Right.
So it's a common thing. So I do speak to individuals themselves, not necessarily, usually if they're in a couple or in a relationship, they'll both be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your relationship with Orlando. Like, how long have you lived here? What area do you live in? What's some of your favorite stuff in Orlando?
Because this ties back in because we're an Orlando podcast. So we even though we're talking about this is a great subject, but we kind of like it sometimes tie. And this is kind of an odd place. We should have probably asked that in the beginning.
We can always.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Let's just roll with it. So yeah, tell us about Orlando, and because you already mentioned to us that you're from Panama, so we have that history. So tell us about your relationship with Orlando, and you've come and you've left, and now you're back again. So tell us a little bit.
Well, I lived in Panama, and then I moved here when I was about 18, 19, maybe 20. I don't remember. And my sister already lived here, so that's how I kind of came here, because I was like, oh, well, I want to change. I want to move. I'll go somewhere I already, know somebody, one person at least. And so I started kind of working. I started going to school, all the whole thing. I went to Full Sail for a semester, maybe.
What were you studying?
And probably you're
there?
still paying your student loans.
Exactly.
20 years later.
What were you studying?
I was doing web design.
Okay.
So then I was working actually for Starwood, which is the hotel company of all them, and I worked for their corporate office for 4 years. Where they were fun as hell, I'll tell you that.
Really?
Yes. It was a corporate call center, but it was like going to high school. Everybody had their crowd. You could always take a break here and there and all that. I got along with everybody. Everything was great. I partied every week. It was all great. And I used to live on this side of town, which would be near SeaWorld. I would go partying, and I was doing the typical Latin stuff that people who are Spanish live in, halfway to Kissimmee. And then you'd party over there, and you did everything there. There wasn't no brush, you don't go anywhere else. So then I moved away because I was kind of over it. I was kind of over that stage. And I wanted to know how like the adult life would be in Panama. So I went back to Panama. Then 4 years there. And then when I came back, when I wanted to come back, I was thinking, where can I move next? Like, what can I do? And then I was like, I never really had a bad experience in Orlando. Like, I really liked it. And then when I moved back, I didn't really resonate with the tourist area.
The attractions area.
Yeah. At all. Like, I felt very disconnected. Like, I didn't feel like it was a place where I could do stuff I liked. So then I started doing a lot of stuff downtown Orlando. So I would go to Ember. I would go to like downtown bars and stuff, like activities that they would have. And then I started going to Ivanhoe Boulevard, the bars and restaurants there. And then I really liked that area and that whole vibe on College Park. And then I was like, oh my God, this would be so awesome to live here.
Exactly.
And then I found a job that actually is in College Park. And that's how I ended up actually moving completely over there. Then I just moved over there like a year after I got the job. So then ever since then, I've loved that area. Just College Park, Ivanhoe, Thornton.
There's some nice neighborhoods. We're just, with the podcast, we're just exploring because we basically lived our life in the attractions area.
Yeah.
But now this is helping us.
This morning we were
out.
up north in the Milk District, and we went to,
and
what was the place? Sevens?
Sevens
Bites.
7 Bites, yeah.
Yeah, which was really good. Yeah.
I love it all. I love all that area downtown. I think I love it because everybody is very, it's very local. Like, there's not that many people from outside, and you can really get, like, a vibe for how people are there and the art and how they express themselves. And I just really love that part. And I started actually doing the, I think it's the first Thursday of the month, the art stuff.
Okay.
Where, I don't know if you've heard of that yet.
I haven't.
So
we like art. I like art.
Yeah, so every first Thursday of the month, they'll have galleries and they'll have art stuff open, and you can go over there and just walk around, and they'll have wine walks and they'll have a whole bunch of stuff doing with museums and art and all that deal.
Cool.
And it's really cool just to go out and see local artists and local stuff. It's really awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely enjoy that area, Mills 50, and and Thornton Park as well. And it's nice to kind of get out of the attractions box.
Yeah.
For me and for Stephanie, our jobs are here in this area, so living here makes sense, obviously. But I definitely could see how nice of a quality of life it would be to live down there with all of those, all of the art, all of the new restaurants. And we're really, like we've talked about last episode, Orlando's a boom town. And it's growing both, these developers are growing it, but also with the local businesses that are popping up and the restaurants and just the whole scene right now is
Have
good.
You heard of Creative City Project?
I think I might have, but what is that?
They do that in October, I think, or November, where they close downtown, and it's just art and artists doing they have everything. Every year is something different. Last year they had a lot of different drum people and like acrobats and the whole thing. Cool. Like, it was very, very awesome. I think it's like $10-15, and you go in and it's like the entire few blocks maybe.
I think I just saw that on Instagram. I saw pictures of like aerial artists.
Yes.
And the whole streets were just closed.
Cool.
They do that every year. It's really awesome. Like, really nice vibe to go out and just chill, and they have drinks and the whole thing, and really entertaining.
So living in that area kind of closer to downtown, what is like, we asked, Orlando Foodie Girl was on, she's an Instagram account. We asked her kind of we asked a few questions. What was her favorite or like best kept Orlando secret in terms of like a restaurant or bar? So I'm going to ask you the same question.
Shakers.
I've heard of Shakers.
That was a quick answer. I like that.
Oh, because it's like Shakers is like breakfast at Shakers is the bomb.
Really?
Yeah,
and it's you this morning.
And it's all like local people, so it's not like packed. I mean, if you go like around 9:30, 10, it'll be packed.
Where's it at?
Edgewater, right off Edgewater, and they only serve breakfast and lunch, so they're closed afternoons. But they're awesome. Even their lunch is good. Sandwiches. It's really small, but it's great.
If you would have seen her eyes when she answered,
breakfast is my thing.
So then the other question that I'll follow up with that, and it might have the same answer. So what is one place? It doesn't have to be even local. It could be a chain, but what's like one food establishment that you go to like every week? at least frequent once a week? Is there one?
Not really like
Not
once
really?
a week,
Okay.
but one I would definitely like hit at least once a month would be Tasty Walk.
Tasty Walk.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've been
It's a
there.
little- yeah.
It's a little hole in the wall.
Yep,
Yeah,
and it's
My
great.
friend Giovanni and I go. down
Seriously,
there. Yeah,
every
it's so
time
good.
we sit down with this podcast, he goes everywhere without me.
Tasty Walk is
when I'm
really
in
need to
work
change
without
that.
me.
So Tasty Walk is really good, and the thing about Tasty Walk for me, because I grew up in California, and so the mom and pop Chinese restaurants in California.
Oh, walk.
Tasty
I thought
Walk.
you meant like tasty walk.
Like
I'm just imagining a trail full of ice cream for some reason.
No.
Walk like WOK.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
gosh.
The mom and pop Chinese restaurants were much better in California. For some reason, maybe the Asian population is greater, or I don't know,
Probably.
whatever. But I lived in Oklahoma for a while. I've lived here, and the fried rice in general is not the best at the mom and pops here. But Tasty Walk, their fried rice is freaking.
And it's the same thing for me because in Panama, it's got a large Chinese Asian just community.
I think it has to do with
So
being
when
more
I-
towards the west. I
Yeah,
think.
and I grew up kind of going to that. Like I
Yeah.
went to dim sum every Sunday with my parents. Da da da. My grandma was Chinese, so we were kind
Yeah.
of blended into that whole deal. But when I moved here, it was so hard to find like Chinese or Japanese or whatever Korean food that was like similar to the one back home.
Yeah.
And then finally, I found this spot that was here on where's that Publix? It's like right here in Central Florida Parkway, I think. And it's like, let me tell you,
Pearls?
they're never freaking open. Like I don't know how they make money, but they open for like 4 hours. It's jam packed, and then they're closed for the rest of the
Well,
day.
we're gonna have to maybe figure out what it was so you can tell us.
I'll tell you. It's like where there's a Publix somewhere over here.
Pearls?
No, it's not Pearls, but there's another one, and their food is just exactly like that.
Like Tasty Walk.
Yes, and I was like, oh my god, but then they're never open, so it's like you have to like hit and
Okay,
run.
we'll have to figure out which one it is.
So it's I think it was that one and the one I first found, and then when I moved downtown, I was like, Tasty Walk. Oh my god.
Tasty Walk is good. Yeah,
It
it's
is,
really good.
and it's always open.
What do you get at Tasty Walk?
I get beef chow fong or beef pao fong, something like that,
Okay.
but beef, and of course fried rice.
Oh, their fried rice is
I know.
so good. It's so good. I want some Tasty Walk now.
We're still full from breakfast.
The basil fried rice at what's this Hawkers is really good too.
I like Hawker. I've been there once, but I told
I
Stephanie
haven't been there.
she hasn't been there. But I told Stephanie that because Stephanie's a
I
little
don't
bit.
even know why I'm a part of this podcast.
Stephanie is a little bit pickier on the food than I am, but I told her I think Hawker's menu is so huge she'll find something that she likes
Yeah.
at Hawker's. Their menu is huge there, so it's good.
So to get a little personal, are you in a relationship or do you have children? Are you married?
Oh no.
Still
No
searching for love?
no children, no husband or marriage. Sort of single, you could say.
So when you have gifts,
Sort of single, like
Do
it's
you-
That's why
complicated.
it's hard.
do you see your man far ahead? Like, do those gifts work for your own self?
Oh,
Like,
unfortunately, I wish they didn't. I honestly wish I was normal and I could go blindsided into things, and then just crash and burn eventually.
like the most of us do.
Exactly. Like I shouldn't say I hate, but I just don't like knowing. Because then when you know, you have to be okay with the fact that you know it's coming, but it's not right now. And that's even worse than anything.
Yeah.
Because it's literally patience. Oh, okay, great. I'll just sit here and wait.
Get gray hairs.
Exactly. So yeah, so it's a little bit difficult, and especially like I'll try dating like normal people, and then I'll pick the person out like as the first night. I'll know all his issues, and I did that at the beginning of all my gifts where I wasn't like aware that everybody knew what they were going through. And I went on a date and I started like telling the guy like, oh, you do that because you have like issues with your mom, like you never had her, and I started like going on and on and on.
Oh my god!
And the guy was like,
So in his mind, he thinks you're just already trying to fix him and judge
probably.
him.
And I was like so like casual about it, like, oh, don't worry about it, do this, da, 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 da. And then we kept dating, which was surprising, but he just left me that day like, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I guess you had a lot to process.
So there's no way to separate things in your life. You know, you just are flooded with all these thoughts. And
it's part of me. That was kind of like a big struggle because I kept on trying to do that. Like, okay, I'm gifted, but we can turn that off. Nope, you can't.
This is so interesting.
So right now you're picking up on things like all the time.
Not right now because I'm talking.
Okay.
So I'm really not listening.
We're waiting for her to pick up on something, so we're gonna stop talking. No, I'm just joking.
She doesn't want to hear anything with mine. Would knock her to the floor with my life. So, if you guys are interested in, you know, maybe speaking with her or having some relationship coaching, tell them about your Instagram and your website.
So the webpage is my name, which is LizetteSamaniego.com, and my Instagram is LizetteSamaniego4, which, by the way, is a number of abundance. Okay. So keep that 4 in your...
All right.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add that if you're not, like, you don't have to believe in any gifts or anything of any sort to get any type of help from me. Like, honestly, like, I've had so many people that come to me that are different religions that are just... As long as you're open to help, it's kind of, you'll get it. Right. You don't have to believe
because you're right. Because you're using it more as a tool for yourself.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily, if somebody is not in that realm where they want to focus in on that, you just are using it as a tool for yourself. You
exactly, because that's kind of like the way I'll do a session. If you don't believe, like, I won't speak about crystals, I don't speak about any meaning of anything, but I will be getting information to help you
whether you like it or not.
Exactly. like it's, and trust me, you know what happened to me last week? I had 2 readings and one canceled last minute because she was scared because she had never gotten a reading. And then I said, okay, that's fine. So then I called a person because they were out of state. I called a person and I'm like, okay, I don't really do like readings with names or numbers or anything. I just kind of read your energy and it goes. So I started doing the spread and I was like, oh my gosh, she's got so much shit going on. And as it's getting bigger and bigger and I'm like, oh my God. And then I started talking to her and I was like...
Also, wait, you were doing this over the phone?
Yeah, over the phone, yeah. And then I started talking to her about like what I was picking up. And she's like, I was like, does this resonate? Because I didn't feel like it was her. I was like, does this resonate with you? And she's like, not really. And I was like, are you in a car with somebody? Or like you're in like a room with like several people? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, can you ask whoever is next to you if this relates to them? And she asked her and she's like, oh my God, to the T. Like every single part. And I was
that's so crazy to me that it happens through the phone.
Oh yeah.
That I always wondered that as well. I never really asked anybody that if it's important that you're face to face, that you can look and be like in the vicinity, or if it's most important, like what is it, how are you getting vibes? Like over the phone, it just seems so far and it seems so like impersonal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think to everybody, it's different. Like to every reader. To me, I can only really speak for myself on this one, but. To me, I don't know how it happens, but I pick up on people, like that lady did not want to get a reading. I didn't know these people. Like they reached out to me through internet, so I called them. And that's all I knew. I knew their phone number and I knew the 2 persons that I was calling, like their name. But I didn't really, like, while I was throwing the cards, dialing their number. I wasn't, like, throwing the cards thinking of them or anything like that. I was just dialing their number.
So you were throwing cards before you even dialed the number.
Exactly. And then by the time, because they didn't pick up the first time, so I already had a huge spread by the time I spoke to them. And then when they picked up, I said, okay, does this, and that? Because I always try to make sure that it resonates with you, because it could be somebody around you.
The last reading that I had, I was with my friend Christy, and we were in New York. Is where she lives. And the same thing was happening. The lady was just like spitting out all these things, and she was like, no, it's not. I was like, no, not me. But my friend was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
And so she was laughing. She's like, well, do you want me to leave the room? Like, do you want me to go? And she was like, well, just back up a little bit. Like, just get a little
That's how
further.
the girl on the phone was. And then she didn't want the reading because she was scared. So when I had the spread and she's like, oh, it resonates with her. And I was like, well, does she want the message? Because I already have it. Like, and she's like, yeah, but she didn't want a reading. I'm like, well, she's getting it. And anyways, so I said the whole message.
So how did you charge then?
No, because I charged that one girl who wanted the reading.
Right.
And then I just gave her the message because clearly she needed to listen to it.
So did you reset the whole deck for her? Like,
yeah, afterwards.
Do you do like a reset? Like, let me hone back. Because when I was doing my reading, that's what the lady did. She had to kind of just stop for a minute and close her eyes and kind of like, she was like, let me re-channel myself.
Yeah.
So that I can kind of get Christy out of the picture.
Was that just being dramatic?
That happens from time to time. But honestly, to me, like, the message comes to whoever needs to come. Like right after her, I then said, okay, I'm going to focus on her. And then I started doing the cards or whatever. And then I got her reading and that went perfectly fine. But it was just funny because the other one was like, and it's so funny because I didn't even want to get read. I was so scared. I was like, well, there you go.
So
and it always happens like that. Yeah, it always happens like that. Like I always get people who are like skeptical about it and like, oh, I don't believe, blah, blah. Okay. But if there's something you got to hear, you're going to hear it.
Right.
So just be aware and that's all.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's transition into reading. By the way, for the listeners, this is all new to me. Like I didn't talk about my experience. But I've never been read. No, nada.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, you were never, well, a lot of people don't get readings. That's like a whole other world. And were you skeptic about it?
I'm open. No, I'm open to it.
You just were never around it.
I just was never around it. I grew up extremely religious in Southern Baptist faith, and so of course that was never talked about.
Yeah.
But you know, mom didn't say, "Oh, you're interviewing a psychic." She wasn't negative at all about it. She was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, so now we have another light.
So
my mom's into it.
Yeah.
She's really into it.
I think mom's interested to listen to because our moms are our biggest fans right now.
They really are. We do have story of our lives.
We do have other listeners, but our moms are our biggest fans.
That's so funny.
But
my dad used to always, I remember my dad saying that you don't talk to people like that. He said that it's bad to talk to people like that. I think the perception there is where Lizette she's the light, right?
Yeah.
So you speak through the light and don't focus on the darkness.
And I think that's kind of like what gave psychics in general. I don't like the word psychic because it kind of narrows.
And that's kind of why I like Lizette's profile and reading your bio on your website today in the car, Steph was reading it out loud, is that you don't like to put yourself in any sort of basket, right? Because I honestly, like, every time I thought, oh, I'm a card reader. 2 months later, I was like, oh, shit, I hear people and can channel them? Okay, wait. So it's like you're always kind of limiting yourself, and that's why I say, like, even if you see a card, like, don't just look at the card and look at the name and just set it on that, because you're limiting everything. Right. You're kind of putting everything in a little box, and there's so much more out there if you're just open to it. Right. So, yeah. So who wants to get the reading first? Stephanie will go first. Okay, so you are. Okay. I'm ready. Give it to me. Oh, I'm excited for you. This is your first reading. And then another thing I don't do is I don't read upside down cards, which a lot of readers do. But I don't. I don't know why. I just don't like it. So, I feel like financially, you were kind of going through something, like kind of
maybe not like super struggle, but kind of hard to like budget and like keep on track type of thing. But you kind of pulled forward from it, and you're moving forward from it a lot. Like you're not kind of tracking back. But I do feel like there's a couple of people, you might want to edit this.
Oh Lord.
Like a couple of people who, oh no, it's not people.
Okay.
It's like bills maybe, like responsibilities that are the ones that you feel like keep you tied down. And you work hard to kind of deal with them and not so much feel like tight. You know what I mean? Like have that freedom.
Yeah.
But even though you think that you like, even though you think that you're like trying to get a grip, and because you're trying to get a grip in order to be okay, you're trying to get a grip because what's coming in is greater than what you think. Yeah. So like, do you want me to? Okay, so it was your first time. Sorry, I always suck at that. Okay, so the cards that I pulled out was like Justice, Knight of Swords, Five of Pentacles, Four of Swords, Eight of Pentacles, and Tower. Those are the first 6 that we got. And each of these has a specific meaning.
Okay.
Each reader will, I mean, they have their textbook meaning. I don't really ever go by textbook. I go by whatever I get and whatever I see. So I see is, you know, you were trying to get something fair. Like you were just trying to probably get a fair amount of money for your work, possibly. And it could also be for your self-worth. So you were trying to value yourself too.
Is that in the past?
No, I feel like that's kind of what's happening. Like I feel this is what's happening right now.
Okay.
Which is kind of what you're working on. Making sure that you have the right amount of money, making sure, and everything kind of applies to yourself too. So like the right amount of value for yourself.
Yes.
Value for your time, for your patience, for everything. Just overall value yourself and your work and what you do, your efforts. And you are very adamant about it. Like you're not it's not like a soft change, like you're passively changing into it. You're like aggressively seeking that change in your life, which is taking you away from any like bad situations or relationships, possibly like a person that constantly tells you that you're like, not constantly tells you, but constantly makes you feel like you're not worth something, or takes away from your value. And then I see you feel very like limited when that happens. And it applies the same to your money. Like it and by the way, like money and love always seem to be part with my work. I don't know why. Like the way your money flows, your love will be flowing, kind of thing. So if you're struggling sometimes in bills or feeling tight, your love, either for yourself or for your partner or whoever's around you, is kind of flowing in the same direction. So I feel that whole, like, you're kind of tight and, like, you feel like you don't have anywhere to go. And you feel you have this, like, there's not many options for you. That's how you feel. Like, you feel there's only this one solution of keeping track of your money or keeping track of your value, making sure that you're feeling comforted. And is comforted a word? But you feel, but you get where I'm going with it. So you constantly feel like the tools you're using are the only tools that are possibly able to make you feel the way you want to feel. But that's about to change if it hasn't already. And I feel like it's, because I feel this is like what's either like about to happen or already kind of happened not too long ago, like maybe like a week or month. And that's where the change comes in, like complete change, like drastic change. And then it goes like to the complete opposite of what you thought. Does any of it resonate? Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's going in a direction that you don't really think. Like, it's like when you're going in, you think you're doing, like, at the beginning of this whole thing, you said we started this as a passion project.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, I don't think it's just going to be a passion project. Like, I think it's all going to start kind of paying forward, because there is a purpose for you both in this.
Okay.
Although you both may feel like you don't have enough tools, like you're kind of short on money, or, you know, like budgeting and all that other stuff. And then stability, yeah. So I feel it's going to take a turn completely, like, to the opposite end of it. So instead, if you're feeling tight right now, you're going to feel, like, really good about everything soon. Even though you have fears of it. I feel like one of you has fears about the whole thing. Maybe of being seen. Yeah. Of, like, being seen. And one of you is more confident than the other. But I do see you both kind of stable in it. That turned, like, from you to us. Yeah. I see you both stable. I see you more stable than you. Yeah. Do you have questions about anything that I said?
Mm-mm.
Or about a card?
Mm-mm. No. Not really. There has been changes in, like, financially for me,
Mm-hmm.
like, recently.
Mm-hmm.
And not negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's probably where
yeah.
it's
And
already
it was,
here.
you said week or last month, and it's been within the last month.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you feel fearful in general?
No.
Do you feel restricted?
A little bit. Like, I'm trying to budget. I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast, but I'm going to Europe, so I'm just trying to budget and make sure that everything's in order for that. So I don't know if that is coming into, so I feel a little bit restricted on that, because I have to watch my spending, and so that's kind of...
Yeah, so that's, to me, that's this. And then I see, like, to me, this wolf was you.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this girl was you. And it might just be, like, your confidence, like,
Mm-hmm.
how your confidence reflects.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe what you're working on individually is kind of, maybe you're going inward and you're going outward.
Okay.
As far as work, like, emotional, spiritual, or whatever. But you both... That's what I felt for that card. And I do feel like you're stable. You're going to be stable financially for sure. Like, you're not going to have to worry about that. Even though there might be, like, a thing or a person that kind of pops up. Maybe an unexpected bill, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not, like, huge.
Okay.
It's something small that you don't really have on your mind at
Right.
all. And it'll, even though that pops up, like, even that pops up, when that pops up, don't worry about it, because you're going to be perfectly
Small
fine.
bills are fine.
Yeah. And I do see you, like, to me, this is Europe. Like, this is, like, traveling and enjoying yourself. Just overall enjoying it all.
So,
and I do feel like you have somebody, like, watching over you.
like, in what way? Like
a grandma
mm-hmm.
of some sort. Or a grandma figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's making sure that you have your money and that you have everything you need financially. Aw, stop. Then I start. Aw, I don't. I feel it. Like, I feel what you feel. So then I get like that too. Oh. But you're being taken care of. You have to feel good about that. And I'll tell you both, because maybe you both have something of this sort. Don't because people pass over or aren't here with you, don't shut them out. Don't think that because they're not here physically, they're not with you. Because they're always with you. And if you speak to them, they listen and they will reply in ways that are familiar to you. Through a song, through literature, through whatever. But a way that speaks only to you. So be open to that.
It's not bad because it's funny because you just the way you said that, because my grandmother passed I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe shorter than that, but she and I were really close, and it's funny, like even when I didn't need money, she would send it, so she was always that type. So when you said that, that's what resonates with me.
And she is, like, to me, this is her right here. Okay. You see that? And then there's, like, these big sacks of, like, money.
Oh, hey, Graham, with the sacks of money.
Like, they're just coins and, like, wealth overall. Like, she might not be, like, forefront, like, right there in front of you, but she's definitely back there taking care of all their loose ends. Making sure that you get exactly what you want. The way you want it. And to me, that's you, like, happy and, like...
Living it up in Europe while Grandma sits with her sacks of money.
Yeah, and the pentacles are always money. Like, a lot of, like, stability in money. And this is definitely stability in money. Okay. So money's not an issue.
Because I think money is something, like, that I worry about, but not really, but, like...
In the back of your mind.
In the back of my mind, but then it's always, like... I have this worry, but then it's always okay. Like, it's never, you know what I mean? Like, you have this...
Yeah, because you get all worked up about it.
And then at the end, it doesn't matter. Like, and I think that we as people put too much value on it, but... Oh, yeah. It comes when it's needed. Yeah. And it's always there when it's needed. At least that's how I view it.
I agree. I agree. I think our relationship with money should be a good one in order for you to kind of... have a good life, because you have to learn to value it, and you have to, and by that, like, the only way you do that is kind of not just throwing it away, because you did put work into it. So the more you value your money, the more you value yourself, type of thing. And then I feel like this is I think this is like the renewal, basically. The renewal phase of, like...
what's that card? That...
Oh, it's a hot man with long hair and his shirt unbuttoned. I never saw that in any of my readings. Probably that's why.
Yeah, it's like renewal, just overall. A lot of balance. A lot of stability financially, and then after that, love.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what do you, because I am talking to somebody right now, so is it somebody that I know right now, or how can you read that?
I don't feel like it's somebody you know. I feel like it's somebody you're going to meet. I feel the person that's in right now is going to be part of the renewal. And then they're going to be...
Bye!
Like, washed away kind of thing. Like, you know, like when you're cleaning something, like... It's like when they show me, like, a dip dish in water, and you come out and it's all rinsed and nice, ready to dry. That's where I see that change in you. Because it's in you, the change that has to come in order for you to have balance. It's internal. And that in order... Like, after you get that balance is where... You have to get, well, you get that love, but it kind of goes par to par with love for yourself.
It's funny we were talking about that today.
So I think whoever is with you right now is not ready for that. Is not ready to have that person. Like a person that's, like, in tune with their self-worth, that is strong in that. A lot of people kind of relate to, in relationships, if they have a little bit more self-worth than their partner, it's easier for them to relate, just because they feel a little bit more confident about it. And I think he's not ready for that type of relationship. Like, wait, did I confuse you? Because I got confused. You followed?
I got it, yeah.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. So then after that, it's kind of like you're on your path. You're right on, basically like right where you're supposed to be. Well, we're always where we're supposed to be, but it's like you're right on track with different parts of your life, and there is a strategy to everything. There is a purpose to everything. So don't get like scared or fearful that they're, that if you take, like, if an unexpected bill comes up, that it's not oh shit, I fucked up or anything like that. It's like, no, you're right on track. Everything comes in divine timing. And then I'll just put 3 out of this one. And that's like kind of confirmation. Life is wonderful. Thrive through the power of positive thinking and inspiring success. Make a wish. Dreams become reality. A joyful time of life. A situation has ended and you are finally free. New opportunities for happiness will now follow. Put the past behind you.
That's true.
Wisdom and objectivity are important now. Stay in your integrity. A situation that calls for honest and open communication.
Now, that's like a separate deck of cards?
Yep.
These they all have like little messages.
Yeah, they have like a
them.
little message. I usually pull them just for confirmation of everything we spoke of, basically. And that's it. Do you have any questions? Doubts? What? Yeah, you get it.
I get it. I'm woke enough.
Just as long as Graham sticks around with the money bags. We're good.
We're good. We're Gucci.
She'll be around. All right, so what?
That's not what I want to hear.
Well, they're all good cards.
Oh, good. Okay.
So my what is like, then why are you all like, oh, my life is yada yada yada?
Because it's not.
Are you missing the drama? I said, are you missing the drama? And they're like, no, the drama's inward. So, simple as your wishes have come true. You are definitely in a very good relationship or with somebody who's a very good partner. And literally all your wishes will come true. But, of course, something within you can't, I don't know, like, accept or deal with or process the whole thing. You're not accepting, like, a lot of things within yourself, of yourself. Like, you're not accepting of yourself. So you have all these, like, very nice situations happening, but you're not, like, I hate to say appreciative of them. I think you're just, like, numb to a certain extent. Does it resonate?
Possibly. Yes. Numb. Mm-hmm. That's a good word.
And it's like, even though they go through this hard job, and now I'm speaking for them, of like delivering and carrying all the big stones basically and delivering it at your feet, you're still like in denial. I think you're gifted.
Gifted with what?
Oh, she's gifted, all right. She's touched.
You said your mom is into this stuff too?
Yeah. I don't think my mom has had her... I don't think she's had a reading, though. She's just very interested in it. And I don't think she's really seen anyone about it yet.
She's open-minded.
She's very open-minded to it, yes.
Yeah, I think you're gifted and you're, like, very blindsided about it. And your mom probably is, too. And you're just very, and it's like very, very obvious. I bet you if I like spoke to or saw like your mom, I would pick up on it. Like it's very. Do you guys have very good intuition? Do you have like very like weird dreams and shit?
Oh my gosh, Stephanie has dreams like no other.
Yes,
yeah. Like
no,
massive movie production.
Yes.
A full feature film.
The stuff that comes out of her mouth, I'm like, girl, how do you even?
Yeah, I think it's like a pretty obvious thing, but you don't accept it.
So is there a way for her, like, I hate to ask Discovery questions on your reading, but is there a way for her to, like, obviously the answer is yes, because I'm going to talk myself back around into a circle, is if she tapped into it more, would those dreams be more in control? Because sometimes her dreams, like, they truly affect her day.
Mm-hmm.
You know
yeah,
because
you're not...
Like, I feel like whatever I dreamt really happened. Like, if somebody died in my dream, I'll have just a cloud of sadness on my heart all day. Because in my mind, I feel that it truly happened to me. But then I remember it was just a dream.
You know what I want to do to people like you? Smack them in the head. Like, of course. Because, Jesus Christ. Because, like, you're not dealing, like, we live, what we have in our dreams are literally either something we're doing in our sleep or we're literally, like, going to live it. Like, we live it no matter what it is. Even if it's a dream, we live it. Like, our souls live it because we're gifted. So we're, like, invested in everything. So, yes, it will affect your day to day. Like, that happens to me if I'm not balanced. But you have to find, and I mean, if you're not balanced and you're, like, in denial, of course, you're probably, like, letting it affect your entire life.
We need to get you to a gifted doctor ASAP.
Gifted doctor. That's funny. I wonder if they exist.
Pay Lizette all the money. We're going to fix you.
We're going to fix you. No, because I think, like, first of all, like, when you're curious about, like, tarot cards in general, just,
Well, I was telling him on the way here in the car, like, I was reading your profile, and what were we talking about? Like, you said something along the lines of, like, you're super, like, sensitive, and I feel that way. Like, everything bothers me. I just can't feel like I'm a normal person. Like, every little thing makes me so emotional, or I think about it, like, twice as hard, or, like, I get so invested in people or places or things, and it's just, like, and I think it affects my life, because not everyone else is like that, so it causes a lot of, I don't know what the word I want to use.
Battle between yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to be normal, but you can't be.
And people, like, think I'm just crazy. I'm, like, overly emotional. Like,
girl, I went to a concert on Monday, and there was this guy crying, like, because he was excited, and I was crying with him. I was like, oh my god.
Yes.
I know what you're feeling. Like, I just really want to hug you. And I randomly, like, he was recording a video of himself. Like, I've waited my entire life to see this. And in from the back, come on. Like, I love you.
yes.
And my sister's like, can you stop? Like, this is weird. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, he's feeling, I feel
like, I feel emotions for other people. I do.
Yes, that's a gift.
But it makes my life hard. It makes
no
life
shit.
hard for me.
Tell me about it.
Because I can't get along. My relationships get strained. Like, especially with boyfriends or, like, even friends sometimes.
Because
people think I'm just over the top, or I'm being like...
Yeah, because you don't really, like, manage it. Like I said, if you're not balanced and you don't even, like, acknowledge the existence of it, of course, you're going to be, like, a super dramatic bitch. I was. Like, it's how you, like, you gotta let the feeling out, so you let it out. And I was a bitch all the time to people.
Yeah.
And I was a smart ass and shit. Everybody was like, oh, yeah, because Lizzie knows it all. And I knew it all. But I didn't have to, like, portray it that way, you know? It's just channeling the energy.
You have those tendencies.
I do.
It's just channeling it. Like, I see you in denial, literally. Like, and I feel like this is current and future. Like, I still see you in, like, not 100% accepting of it. I don't see you struggling in money. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Okay, so... That's funny if I would have said, oh, never mind, you are going to struggle in money. That's a joke. Sorry. I get carried away in my head. Wouldn't that be funny? Not. Okay. No, I see, like you need to bring awareness to it, and I do feel like your mom has something to do with it. Like, it's either from your mom's side or your mom has a gift too. And then once you become more aware of it, you kind of literally turn the wheel around. So, like, it's like literally you...
This is so interesting, though, that this is what we're talking about, since we kind of talked a little bit about it in the car. It's kind of crazy.
We're having the same discussion we had in the car right now. It's really quite
interesting.
And I feel like that's when you kind of, like, now that you're kind of a little bit more aware, and maybe I'll give you, like, tips and stuff, like, you'll be able to go more inward and deal with it in a better way.
But you do Stephanie's gonna have Lizette on the speed dial.
No, there is. It's hard. Let me tell you. Like, first it's hard to figure it out. Then it's hard to, like, okay, what do I do with it? And then it's hard to live a normal life with all of that. Like, it's just hard. And honestly, like, I mean, I was put in the position at an early age because all the people I know that do this are way older than me. Like, every time I went to, like, a circle or some sort of this, it was always, like, 40, 50, 60-year-olds and me.
Did they say that they felt it since a child?
Some of them, yeah, but not all of them. We're always, like, in denial. I mean, we grow up in this little bubble that it's supposed to be this way. And then how's your mind even going to think there's any other possibility? Like, your mind's already trained from the get. So you get thrown into, like, shitty situations in order for you to seek the light because you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't see you, like, half the way you feel about yourself. Like, I see it all, like, very well, and, like, your relationship is really good too, whoever it is or whatever it is. Shit. Yeah, like, it has to open up. Like, you have to be more open about the value of the things that you're going through. Like, the dreams and all that stuff. Like, the stuff you feel. Like, don't discard it. Don't think it's trash. Like, because it's not perfect. And I'll say that to both. Like, when you have, like, a negative emotion, instead of just being like, oh, this is bullshit, I need to go out there and forget about it. No, deal with it. Like,
yeah. I think that her saying that, not for me necessarily, but I think that for you, like, yeah, I'm feeling something with that. Yeah.
He knows me pretty well. I mean, probably better than anyone else.
Yeah, you just need to embrace it. I think I wrote something about that in one of my posts lately. Like, the shitty situations. Like, and always trying to, like, portray something nice. And sometimes you're not fucking feeling nice.
Yeah.
And you just gotta deal with it, and that's what it is. You don't have to pretend anything. Because that's, and you have to, and you keep, like, taking away the value of that emotion when those are the emotions that give like the most value. Because without sadness, you don't know what fucking happy is.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
You won't value like anything if you don't value not having anything.
It's true.
So you have to embrace the negative in order to bring light to it, because that's where all the happy places are. In the light. That's such a light worker. See the light. Go for it. So happy over there. Do you have any questions?
I mean, I have a lot of questions.
Okay, wait, let's finish. Insights that come from quiet meditation, the need for more sleep or time off, seek relief from stress. There is a better course of action available to you. Working alone may not be the best answer. Review all the details. An excellent opportunity will be offered to you. Scholarships or the pursuit of education. Time to get to work.
I'm not going back to school.
Oh, child.
Maybe it's time to get back to work and go to school and
Human,
learn how to be gifted.
It's time to get educated on what your purpose is in order to like deal with all this. And unfortunately, you do have to learn how to meditate. I started doing like guided meditations, and then I would fall asleep. And
I do that sometimes at night.
Yeah, and
when I'm
then
laying in bed.
and that's probably, if you do it like before bed, that's probably why your dreams are so specific.
It's not always though.
Yeah,
Usually it's just
you need to start journaling your dreams or recording them. I guarantee you there's like 1,000 answers to like 1 billion of your questions.
Yeah, I have, especially this week, I've been having really crazy dreams. Last night I had a really crazy one, and I thought, it's so weird you say that, because I thought to myself, I want to get up and write this down. You know when you're like half asleep and half not? I was like, I want to write this down because I know I'll forget it. And it was it was like a lot of specific details. And I woke up, but then I fell back asleep because I wasn't all the way awake. But I thought in that moment, like, I want to write this down. Yeah. Because I know I won't remember it.
Record them.
Sometimes I don't remember, but sometimes, most of the time I do.
Record them. That's what I do. Like, I'll wake up at like 4 a.m., half asleep, with one eye open, and I put record. It's like literally like on the swipe up. Like, I press it, record, and I'm like, this and this, I was there, this, da-da-da-da, finish, okay, bye. And then I go to sleep, and I hear it the next day. I swear, every time I hear it, when I recorded half asleep, I'm like, I said that? Like, when did I even record this thing? I have no memory of what I dreamt at all. Just because it's, like, deep, detailed stuff.
Yeah.
But there's always messages. There's always answers.
Well, thank you so much, Lizette, for coming and spending your time with us.
3 hours with us yesterday.
Hopefully you didn't have any plans.
No, I didn't. But you're good. Thank
you so much. Everyone who's listening, I felt, a great energy here in the room, and it was definitely very positive, and I appreciate Lizette, and I hope you guys all will check her out.
And before we go, we're going to have to
we'll
announce. But I also wanted to just go over one more time her information. Well, what languages do you speak? Do you speak Spanish?
And English.
And Portuguese también, or no?
No.
No? Okay.
I understand it fully, but I can't.
Pochechi?
Pochechi. Mm-hmm. That's a different...
That's our favorite word. That's my favorite
word. That's an inside joke.
Portuguese.
It's an inside joke. Okay, so English or Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And go ahead and shout out your Instagram again.
Lizette Samaniego 4. And
LizetteSamaniego.com. And we're going to post that on our Instagram. If you look under... our story highlights, we'll put a story highlight under guests and her picture. I'm sure a picture, because we're going to do a selfie after this.
Okay.
And we'll put a picture of us with Lizette and then all of her contact information on that highlight. Okay? So Stephanie, we're going to finish up the episode. We promised everyone that we're going to announce the winner.
And the winner is...
of the Key Australia sunglasses.
Caught up with Crystal.
All right. Congratulations, Crystal.
We're gonna. This episode is coming out on Sunday, but then we're not gonna really post this on the Instagram, so probably Monday. So if you hear this, send us the message. If you see it, send us a DM with your info so we can get you the glasses.
All right, guys. So thank you again for joining. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context. Visit us, if I can speak, at orlandooutofcontext.com, and listen and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. And make sure you leave us a review on iTunes. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. But
we have very complicated love lives.
But I'm curious to see what you say.
Take advantage, because I'm here and I'm helping.
You might need the whole table. I don't know what that little piece is gonna do.